I'm Andy Parkin, Managing Director of the multi-award-winning Screed. I'm here today to talk about how long for floor screed to dry. When we talk about how long for floor screed to dry, we are referring to the time in between laying the screed and when the floor coverings can be laid, not the period when the screed can be first trafficked. The generally accepted measurement of screed readiness to accept floor coverings is 75% relative humidity. You should always check with the adhesive and floor covering manufacturer to confirm what level of moisture is acceptable. Depending on the screed type, the main methods of testing are as follows: hair hygrometer, carbide bond test, and Protimeter. The only way to be certain if a screed is dry enough to lay floor coverings on is to test it. Manufacturers' guidelines are just that and can't take into account any moisture present when laying or introduced after laying. The temperature and humidity will affect drying times. Manufacturers normally base the drying times on 60% relative humidity and 20 degrees. Anything different to this will change the overall screed drying time. So always test. Manufacturers' guidelines for drying are as follows: liquid screed of the calcium sulfate type between 1 and 40 ml of depth is 1 ml per day. Anything over 40 ml is 1 millimeter per 2 days. So typically a 75 ml screed would take 110 days to dry. Liquid screed, that's the fast drying cementitious Belitex type, would be 14 to 21 days. So a 75 ml screed drying time would be around 21 days. Traditional sand and cement, that's the 1 to 3 and 1 to 4 mixers, between 1 and 50 ml, that's 1 millimeter per day. 50 ml plus, the British standard states 1 day should be allowed for each millimetre of thickness for the first 50 ml, followed by an increasing time for each millimetre above this thickness. So, for this example, a 75 ml screed would take between 75 and 100 days. Hydraulic binder for fast drying screeds would be 1 day for ceramics, 5 days for resilience, so a 75 ml screed would take between 1 and 5 days to dry, depending on the floor covering type. Mappy Screed 704 is 7 days for ceramics, 14 days for resilience. So a 75 ml screed would take between 7 and 14 days to dry, depending on the floor covering type. Retinal Extreme would be 2 days for ceramics and 3 days for resilience. So that 75 ml example would take between 2 and 3 days depending on the floor coverings. I hope this has been helpful with how long for floor screed to dry. If you have any questions, please get in touch.